sharing my screen. Please confirm if you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, once again, thank you for joining this session, guys. I'm so excited to kickstart this giving back to community initiative, which we are started doing for long back. And with this weekend series of giving back to community, we will be keep learning something new. So far we have been learned many things. If you focus our official website here, exploresalesforce.com, where we will be explore a lot of things in how to shift a Salesforce and what is the path we need to be select, and in order to be explore more on a Salesforce testing. And we have been addressed many other initiatives of how to choose our path in a Salesforce QA and administration. So that kind of many sessions we have been conducted as part of the giving back to community. So you can able to see in another menu in training. This is our training and workshop roadmap, which we have been started long back with essential of Salesforce testing. It's been October 2021. From there, we have been started slowly giving a workshop, administration workshop, and then there is a batch also we have been kickstarted based upon that people interest. So it's going to be a paid version with that, and we will be slowly coming up with currently in the introduction to LWC. So uh, this introduction to LWC will be a really a base where we, if you want to be explore more into development area, people who are already working in development, they are also not aware how to do the development with LWC. So here our one of mentor, Mr. Mithun, joined with us to give his experience and sharing his knowledge. He is having a 4+ years of experience in a 3x Salesforce certified resource. So without any further delay, let me hand over to him. Hi, Mithun.
Hi, Prabhu. Good morning. Thank you so much. Hi, team. So, as Prabhu mentioned, we'll be discussing the LWC basics. So, let me just share my screen. I hope my audio is clear.
Yes.
Right. So, hoping that everyone in this session is having a basic knowledge of working with JavaScript. To start with, LWC is JavaScript based framework which is built on the latest web standards. So initially, there were two conventional frameworks from Salesforce for development, which were Visual Force Pages and Aura components. So now most of the people are using LWC based on the requirements, because it is very much compatible and it is more effective with the requirements, and it gives more performance than the conventional frameworks. So it actually follows the model view component model, which actually has a UI and a script and generally a CSS file for styles. So it is reusable, and it is very much compatible with the modern web standards. Right? So to work on an LWC component, we'll not be able to work with the Salesforce's developer console. We actually need an IDE. You could use Visual Studio Code. I really suggest everyone to use Visual Studio Code VS Code, which provides more features than the other IDs. We can also use Lightning Studio, which is a Chrome extension, which is the thing I'll be using today, because my Visual Studio Code is not authorized yet. This is my personal laptop. So so when we use a Visual Studio Code, we'll be installing this Salesforce extension package for working with Salesforce. So we need to authorize our org over here. So let me just open my org. So we will have to log into our developer or if you have a playground from the trailhead, you can use that, and you'll just have to open this VS Code, and I'll just show like how you would be able to do that. Go to extensions over here, and search for Salesforce extension pack. Yeah, so this is the pack. This is the managed package. You can actually install it, and then we'll be able to like work with Salesforce LWC components. You can also use VS Code for working with you know uh, Apex classes as well. So this is very much easy and better way to work with Salesforce development. So as of now, I'm working with this Lightning Studio, which is a Chrome extension. I'll show you that as well. So search for Lightning Studio and click on the first link that comes up. And you see here, I've already installed it to my Chrome window. So this is it. So once you log into your Salesforce org, just go to the extensions, and you can see this Lightning Studio colored up with this blue color. You can just click on it, and this is the page that brings it gets landed. So yeah. So start with the fundamentals. The LWC has three folders, like three files primarily. So let's go with this one. I'll just go ahead and create one. Click on file and new web component. So this is where I give the name. Okay, we'll go with this parent. Sorry, practice component. So these checkboxes are like very important. So when you click on this is exposed, it is actually made available to the org. So I'm going to click is exposed, and this target configuration is also important. You just have to make sure in which page you are going to use this component, and you'll have to enable the respective target. So I'm going to use this on like basically on my app page or a home page or a record detail page. There are other places where we could access our lightning web component respectively, so that you could select if it is being used in a flow screen. You can click on flow screen as well, and the other lightning community pages like that. So I'm gonna deploy this, which means it actually creates a lightning web component, right? So practice component. So here we see the HTML, JS, and we can also have a CSS file for styles, right? So there are lifecycle hooks, which means there are methods that gets invoked throughout the life cycle of the LWC component, right? So there are five methods that are being called, which is constructor, connected callback, rendered callback, disconnected callback, and error callback. So the constructor is getting invoked when the Lightning component is created as an instance, right? So this connected callback gets invoked when the created component gets pushed into the DOM, right? And the render callback gets invoked whenever there is a change in the UI. Like if I'm making a change and the data is getting changed, or anything that renders in the UI will invoke this rendered callback. And disconnected callbacks gets called when the component gets removed from the DOM. And error callback gets invoked when there is an error that is thrown out, right? So these are actually methods which gets invoked, and in that point of the life cycle of the component, we'll be able to work on something or do some logic when the component is getting pushed. So in case if I'm creating a lightning web component which needs to show this accounts table. So when I open this page, this component will be rendered, and when the connected callback is called, meaning when the component is pushed into the DOM, I'll be getting this data. So for getting that data, I'll make a call to the backend method from the connected callback, right? So there are three decorators. Just I think this is like a theoretical part, but these are like basic things we need to understand before going into hands-on session. So just make a note of this, note of these, so that you could refer it to it again. I really want you to go and research more on these, because this is just a basic thing. I'm just giving an introduction. So there are three decorators. I'll just explain this when we work on it. Okay, let's start with writing a code. Okay, so here, so this is the component HTML, and here we see the meta.xml file. So you see the targets over here, right? So these are the places that our component will be exposed to, right? Here we have chosen the is exposed checkbox to true, so that it is being true here. And the targets over here, we can even add another target using this, right? So we can go with lightning, a community page or something, or flow screen. You can add it from here, right? So I'm just so since we have deployed this lightning component, when this is exposed is true, we it means that we can access it from the page, the targets that we have enabled here. So from the home page, I'm going to edit page. From the setup, and in the left sidebar, we have to search for the component that we created. So under the custom, this is yes, over here. So under the custom section, we have our practice component, which we just created. So I'm clicking and dragging it to the sidebar over here. So since we have nothing created here, it will just show an empty box, right? So I'm clicking on save. So this is how you pull an user component within the Salesforce page. So when I save this, change the save. Okay. So I'm simply adding a text, saving it. So once the deployment is completed here, I'm gonna refresh this page. Just a second. So here we see the hello world text that we just added to our HTML. So this is how like you pull in our LWC component into the page, and let's go into using the JavaScript as well. So well, this is the basic structure of the script file. We'll be importing this lightning element into our component, so that it is actually an it is an interface which we extend to work on our components. So we'll have to export this class. So this is the actual basic way of like defining our component in the script, right? So here I'll be defining a property name. Okay, create. So I'm saving this. And to access this JavaScript property in our HTML, we'll have to use this double, curly braces. So I've just defined this property over here, and I'm going to use this connected callback to define the value to the property. So we'll be using this dot greeting, which means that which this denotes the component, right? The component that we are working in, the the parent I mean the parent component. So I'm defining hello team. Okay, I'm gonna save this. So you see the text hello world has been changed to hello team since we have used this property in our HTML file. So this is how the binding works between JavaScript and the HTML. And this connected callback, as I mentioned earlier, it is one of the lifecycle hooks in the LWC component, which gets invoked when the component is pushed into the DOM, right? Yeah. We'll discuss the decorators as well as here. So we have three decorators basically. So one is API, one is a track, and one is a wire at wire. So an API decorator is used to make a property or a method public, right? So I'm defining a property called record ID. Okay. Um, and I'm making it public using the API decorator. So here we need to import the API decorator as well from the LWC, thing. Uh, so that we'll be able to use this API decorator to the properties or my methods as well. So when I use this API decorator, this property gets exposed as a public property, which can be accessed from its parent or the pages that we use this component. I'll just show you an example. I'm putting this into an account page. So I'm just dragging this component that we created again into the account page. So we see this here, right? So this property, the record ID property, actually gets the record ID of the record uh, in which in whose page that we have added it. So to to automatically get the record ID, we are defining it as API, which actually passes the record ID into this property, right? So when I go ahead and change this to record ID. So what we are doing here is we are exposing this record ID property as a public property, which will automatically fetch the record ID of the account, right? So this ID will be fetched into the JavaScript over here, and we are assigning this record ID to this property, which will show up here in this text, right? See it again. You see here, this is the record ID that we fetched from this record ID property by making this API, I mean this property as public. So we can use this API decorator to pass data from a parent component to the child. This can also work with mm, methods as well. So I'll just go with the practice method or something. So to print and see if our data has been uh, received, or just to see what actually the data is there, we'll be using console.log over here. Similarly, we'll be using system.debug uh, in the Apex methods, right? So I'm just saving this. So I'm printing this record ID in the console so that it is not visible to the users. Okay. I'm just calling this practice method from the connected callback, which will create a console. The cache is not getting created. Just close this and open it again. I think the cache is not getting cleared, so that's why this ID is again showing up over here. Okay, I'll move to the next part, and we'll see this later. So this attract yeah, this attract decorator is actually used to make the properties reactive. So when we make any change over here, right, it will actually it needs to be reactive in the UI as well, right? So when we change the data in the script, and if we are using it in the HTML over here, it has to be updated once the changes happened in the script. So to make that changes, we are using attract decorator. But after a recent release, this attract is just used for making the objects reactive object properties. So this is actually a string, and we will be defining some properties like an object, a JSON object maybe. So this is a JSON object, right? So when we make any change within this JSON object's name or contact, it will not be reactive in the front end. If I'm using this JSON object in the front end, it will not be reactive. For that purpose, we are using a track to make it reactive, so that whenever a change is made within the JSON objects, elements, like JSON object, this dot JSON object dot name equals, this will not be this will not show up over here if I'm using it here, right? This change will not be reflected in the UI unless I make this JSON object reactive. Using this attract. Should be included. So we need to import the track as well. Sorry, I forgot it. Okay. Still getting this. Right. We see here. So initially the connected callback will be called, and within that connected callback, we are assigning and then the practice method is being called. So this practice method, we'll have to use again this keyword to call, invoke the methods of the property which are defined within the, a component, right? So we'll have to use this dot practice method to invoke it. And here within the console, we are seeing I'm here and the record ID of the account. So that's what is showing here. Right? And the JSON object, this dot JSON object dot name, I'm assigning it as Manikandan. So we see here it is actually changed to night. So initially, if we are not using this drag, this will not be updated. I think this is why we will have to use VS Code, because the cache is not getting cleared. So just try working on this decorators as well. And we have the wire decorator. Let's go ahead to the next topic where we'll be using the wire method. I'll just show you that. So component communication. Let's create another component, which would be a child one. Again, we'll have to enable the target configuration as well. All right. So what we are trying to do here is we'll be passing the data from parent to child. Okay. The JS file. I'm importing API decorator. Parent data. So this is the property. I mean, this is the property which is defined as a public property with the API decorator, which will be used to pass data from the parent to child. Okay. In the connected callback, I'm just trying to see if I've received the data. I'll show you how it works. Parent data. Okay. This dot data. So here I'm using that parent data property. Save this. Save this. Right? So how we are going to pass the data, like which data has to be passed, how will we define this? Open a tag, and using the kebab case, you'll have to define it as C hyphen practice hyphen child. I will have to close the same. So since LWC components are using a camel case, which starts with lowercase, and for every word we'll be using the uppercase for the starting word. So here in the practice child we are using lowercase for P and uppercase for C. So whenever there is an uppercase, we'll have to give a hyphen and use a smaller case for the next upcoming word. So that's how the kebab case is. So we'll have to use this format, and this is the property that I've defined as a public one, right? The parent data. So I'm gonna use this here. Equals JSON. Okay, I'll give another word. Right? Maybe we can pass the ID, right? We got the record ID here. Let's see if we are getting the data, right? So we see we got the record ID, right? So this text is from the child component. So I'm child data, parent data. So the parent data is the record ID from the account record that we got from the parent using again the API decorator. So using this API decorator, we got the record ID of the account and we are passing it to the child component using the API decorator. So since I've defined the property as public using the API decorator, the parent component will be able to pass data to the child one. So this is how we define our child component in the parent components, and this is how we pass the data. Since the parent data is a public property, we'll be assigning the value from here in the parent component. Right? So this is how we communicate from parent to child. And there is another way of communication, the vice versa, which is child to parent. We'll be using custom events. So custom event is uh, an event that is getting published from the child component, which will be accessible uh, higher in the hierarchy, right? In the upper rows of the hierarchy. So I'm writing another method over here. Okay. So I'm defining a const property, new custom event. I'm going to give it a name, uh, child event, and I'm going to pass her data. Mm, right. So this is the syntax. So we'll have to define a custom event using this new keyword. Within that, the first parameter will be the custom events name, and here we'll be passing the parameters, the data, right? You can define it with any word that you like to, but generally we'll be using detail. So yeah, this is the text I'm passing from the child component. Maybe you can even pass a record ID or a true or a boolean property, a boolean variable which confirms if something that is happening in the child component is completed or not. So anything you can pass it from the child to parent using this events, custom events. So we'll have to dispatch this event, which will be caught and handled in the parent components, right? So I'm using this dot dispatch. So we'll have to pass the event that is created. So here we are calling this dot event dispatcher method, right? So in the parent, how we'll be handling it, right? So here we need to write, since this is an event that is occurring, you have to go with this on. What's the name again? Child event. On child event. So generally we'll not be using uppercase in the handlers. That's how it works. We are not supposed to use any uppercase, so that's why I've also used completely lowercase over here. So equals. So we need to write a handler method, right? Child event handler event. So we get the event as a data from this keyword, right? So here I'm just trying to print event dot detail. So that's what we got, right? Let me just change it to true. So here we'll have to assign the handler to the on child event, right? So once the event dispatcher is invoked from the connected callback in the child component, it will actually create a custom event which will be handled in the parent, which is actually dispatched from the child, and it can be accessible in the higher by the higher components in the hierarchy, right? So once the event is dispatched, so this is the child component. Uh, in the child component, on this event occurrence, we are handling it using this child event handler, which is a method in the parent component itself, right? So here, once the data is like once the event is handled from this on child event, it comes over to this method, and it executes whatever that is that whatever logic is put inside this handler method. So let's go and see. Thank you. My bad. I shall be. Again. missing something. So you can refer to the documents for the syntax as well. This is due to that cache issue. Yeah, I think the cache is not clear. So yeah, this is how we used to pass the data from child to parent. I strongly recommend you to practice so that we'll be getting more more used to it. So without wasting time, let's move to the next one. I think this is just the cache issue and communication between sibling components. So I'll go ahead and create another component. So sibling is just another component which is not directly connected with one another. So here I'm defining the sibling component as a sibling. Okay. These two have the same parent, right? So the practice component is the parent for the practice side, practice sibling, and practice side. So these two are sibling components, which is not directly connected in any ways. It has a common parent, right? Even if it is not having a common parent, it is in another component. It is in another parent component. We can use Lightning message service to pass data between these two components. So I'll just show you what a Lightning. So generally, message service is something that uses the PubSub model, which is publish and subscribe. So using that, that is something called Lightning message channels, which we use to pass the data to the components that are not directly connected. So I'm just showing the how it works because we are like losing time. Uh, yes. So we need to import this service, which is Lightning message service, and we'll have to import the message context, publish, subscribe. So these are the you know uh, mm, required methods like you need to import from the Lightning message service. So once you import these methods, we'll have to use the wire method to get the date. I mean, in this way, so that it gets uh, published whenever there's a change in the data, right? So in the handle contact select, this which is a method, uh, they are passing the payload as, I mean, the contact ID into the payload property, and they are passing it in this publish method. So the first parameter is the message context that we have defined here, and got selected. Yes, this is the message channel that they have created. I'll show you message channels. So the third parameter is the payload. So whenever there is a change in the record ID, which is the contact ID, or when we call this handle contact select method within the component, this publish method will be invoked, and whichever component that is subscribing to this particular message channel will receive the data. So you see here in another method, they have imported the subscribe method and the message context, and the record select is the Lightning message channel that they have created. So in the connected callback, they use subscribe to message as a method that actually subscribes to the record selected message channel. So whenever the data is published to the message channel from the unrelated component from here, it will be handled in the subscribe to message channel. So here in this subscribe method, this is the syntax where this dot message context is the first parameter, and record selected is the Lightning message channel. And when the data is received, they're handling it from the handle message and assigning it to the record ID. I would strongly recommend you to just go through this documentation and just do some hands-on on it. So let's just wrap up with this interaction with Apex. So yeah, this is the practice class that we just created. Define a method. Let's start it. So what we're trying to do here is creating a contact from the account page. Right? So what I'll do is, like, I'll get the account ID and I'll create the contact account last name. gonna use try catch. Okay. So what we're trying to do here is with the account ID that we will be receiving from the Lightning Web component, we are trying to create a contact record with this account as its parent account. Try catch. Okay, I'll just skip this try catch as of now. So whenever we try to make a call to the backend class, we'll have to define it as a static method, right? And another thing is the aura enabled annotation. So here this aura enabled defines notation defines the method to be accessible from the aura components and LWC components as well. So we'll have to import the method. go ahead and add a button. We may have to create another method. So there are two methods to call a backend method, which is imperative method and using the add to wire decorator. So generally, wire method is used when we don't want to make any DML operations. It actually does not allow us to uh, do any DML operations like insert or delete or update. So in that cases, we'll be using imperative. And when we create an when we use the imperative wire method, we'll have to use this annotation, which is cacheable equals true. Since we are not allowed to use this DML operations, this data will be cached in the browser. So whenever there is a change in the parameter that we pass, it will get reflected, and the latest data will be fetched. So here we cannot have control over when the method is being invoked in the wire method, but using the imperative method we can have control when to call the apex method. So here we are using the imperative method. I think I saved it. Mhm. I'm pretty sure I'm not missing anything. So now in this handle with method, we'll be calling the backend method. Okay. So this is the format of calling a backend method from as in an imperative way. So this is the imported method from the backend class. This is the way that we pass the parameters. Uh, Account ID is the parameter which will hold the accounts record ID, which will be used to assign it to the account ID in the contact record that we are about to create. Right. So once this is completed, this is a promise handler, which is dot 10. Here we can console and see if we have successfully created it or not. Okay. Contact. It is always better to use a Visual Studio Code instead of extensions. We see the create contact method. Okay. Maybe we could use the brand one. There you go. Okay, let me try to pull it into anywhere in this page. Okay, so this is the button that we have created. I think this is all because of this, cache data that is not being clear. So when we open the console, which is yes. So when we clicked on this create contact button, it actually called this handle click, which is the on click handler, and we are calling this create contact that we just imported from this practice class backend class, and we have passed the record ID, right? So once the record ID is passed over here to this method, this will be used to create a contact with the last name and the account ID that we just passed. And once it is inserted, it will return the contact records ID as the return value, which we are getting it in the result and console.log. We are seeing the new record, sorry, new contact record ID. So this is it. When you go to the contacts, you can see a record that just got created with the account name active form by company, which we just worked on, right? So this is how you create. I mean, you connect with the backend methods, and there is another method, the wire method. I'll just give uh, the syntax for it so that you will be able to like work on. I think we are out of time. So similar to a method that we use in the imperative method, we'll have to again import it from the backend class using the import, and this is the method name that we are using within the script. It can be any name, and from keyword add Salesforce Apex, the class name and the Apex method reference name, right? So once this is imported, you can use at wire and the method name that you just given here, and this is a property which actually stores the data, right? So if I'm okay, I'll go ahead and create one quickly. Aura enable. Remember to use the cacheable equals true. Public static. I'll return a contact. Okay. Get. Okay. So again, I'm using the same record ID to get the contact. So what I'm trying to do is I'll I'll try to query the record. Select ID name from contact ID. Right. This will return us the contact, where the account ID is the ID that we pass from the front end. Right? So we are returning it to the complement. Okay. Practice class dot get contact is the method name, right? Okay. Here using for using it, we need to import it at wire. So this is the syntax, right? So this contacts is the property that holds the data which is returned from the backend method. So this is the syntax, and I think we are like over the time that we planned. Uh, so I think we can wrap it up. So just this is just an introduction. So
Yeah,
this would
yes.
be very helpful if you like start working on it. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, Mithun, this is actually, when we kickstart with our learning LWC, this is very, very basic, important topic which you have been covered today. Again, it's not enough, at least 1 or 2 hour. At least it required minimum 4 hours to be go deep dive in order to be understand the difference and how to do the hands-on in order to be get more in detail. So nicely you gave a glimpse about it. I hope people who are joined today, so they can go and revisit and they can learn. Still, if you have any doubts, guys, please feel free to reach out us. Again, Mithun also are available in our group itself, and we will be sharing that LWC trial. You can able to refer in the trailhead. I think so far we
I'll
have
just pass
received
it to
only, yeah, so far we have been
Discuss.
received only one question, Mithun.
Okay.
So from Jason, what was the question? So regarding that decorator which we are using, right? So at API, right? Should it be an API name? That is the question.
Uh, API name? I don't
Where
get that question.
no the whenever when we try to use the record ID, right, at the API.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I think he believe you want to know whether it is an API name. That is his question. The record
Yes.
ID which we are using.
Yes. This record ID is like case sensitive, and this exact string has to be used. If we are using any other, word like API record ID, this is not going to pull us the record ID from the record page. This is the exact thing we need to use.
Yes.
This is the
So
exact thing we need to use.
I hope he addressed your question, Jason. And any
Uh,
other open query?
One more question. Can we use like a parent and dot operator and then the API name?
Uh, I mean, so you want to, access the child using this branch, using the API.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we cannot directly use it in the JS, and we have an method where we can actually access it. Like you can use this dot template dot query selector. Okay. Here we'll be using C hyphen the exact tag that we used here. Dot any API method, any public method or a property that is defined here in the child. So I have API record ID, right? Or any other thing like if I'm using this at API, you know, uh, this question, something like that, I can access this in my parent. Oh, sorry, I'm having it in this child. Okay. I can access it using this template.query selector like this, and you can true, right? So this is a way where you could access the child properties in the JS of the parent.
Okay.
This can actually have more control. So if I'm calling this practice method, only then this data will be passed. If we are using it over here in the HTML, this record ID, whenever it gets changed, this parent data, sorry, yeah, this parent data will be getting the updated value. So if I'm passing this is question over here. Whenever this is question is changed in the JS of the parent, it will be passed to the child through this via this way. If I'm using this query selector, template.query selector method, we'll be having more control when to pass the data.
Okay.
Okay. Any more queries? Doubts?
No, that's all.
Okay. I know this is like a very a vague thing maybe because we've been trying to cover many stuffs within like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, which is not really required. I mean, adequate. I really suggest you to use VS Code since we've been facing some issues in the cache. So VS Code will actually provide us more facilities to work on the components and the methods as well. So I really suggest you to do many hands-on. Only then we'll be able to like master it. Happy learning.
Yeah, thank you, Mithun. Actually, it's really wonderful session. I feel people, those who are want to learn, so it's going to be beneficial for them also. Okay, guys, actually, it's good time. Thanks for joining, and see you with another session.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank
Mithun,
you.
once again.
Bye.
Thank you so much for Mithun and Prabhu.
Thank you, everyone.